man, the team, the family at AEW did such an incredible job honoring Brodie Lee.
I agree.
If you think about, you step back and you think about what they had planned for this week. If you imagine running an organization and the plans they had in store for this week, a world title match with Kenny Omega and Phoenix, there was some things that they had in store, and then everything came crashing to a halt. And
very quickly.
Life hit very fast. The thing that I'll take away from this is that the shadow that Brodie Lee cast was massive. The man's impact on so many lives. That visual that you show there, truly
it's more like
powerful.
a sun shining versus a shadow, because clearly he was a ray of light for many. I mean, every one of these people on the stage could say countless things that we would never know that he touched these people individually, on the base, and we heard a lot of it tonight.
Yeah, the man's legacy,
scratch the surface of it.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many touching tributes throughout the show tonight, and I think that's before we get into the card, typically we like to jump right in and talk about the matches and things like that. But before we get into the card, SPD, I feel like coming off the heels of the way the show ended, to see what AEW was able to do, what they were able to put together, and the way in which they honored Brodie Lee, his family, to rally around. It's one thing to, if you look at what they did here, for me, the thing that I'm taking away from this is AEW truly is a family. It would take their ability to get through this together, to put on a show like this, to honor Brodie's family, his legacy, that they clearly are trying to do their best to take care of the Huber family. To do all this in such a quick turnaround time and react with such class, right? I'm just blown away, and it just makes me so proud to be a fan of this company. I mean, I'm blown away, man. I felt like this was pure class. It was an emotional roller coaster ride, and I think that's life, right? I mean, life is an emotional roller coaster ride. There's so many laughs, so many tears. I think all of us can agree. This was really a beautiful, touching tribute to a great man. And we put it there. They talked about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads. It's just, you look at the legacy that Brodie Lee carried with him beyond the wrestling ring. I think that for a wrestling company, they did a great job of honoring what he did in the ring, but more so highlighting how special he was outside of it.
Exactly. It was definitely an extremely emotional show. Of course, everything from top to bottom was a classy move by AEW, classy move by the Khan family. The way they started and ended the show and all throughout. And I'm very, very, very happy that there was an actual crowd there, and it seemed like a very large crowd there too. And it really helped the matches, helped the emotion. Not that you really needed that, because it was full of emotion. I mean, the crowd was hot. They were, chanting, cheering, and the love for it. And the nonstop tributes throughout the show, it was very touching. And it just was, the common theme was just how good of a person he is. It's one thing to be a star in the ring, and it's another person to be just a good person. And that was the biggest takeaway that I took away, was that he was a great person, and he was a family man, and he was just a lovable guy. His in-ring career and in-ring style and everything is totally separate. I'm just looking at him, Brodie Lee, John, as the man, and that's what the saddest part to me about it. And he was clearly universally loved by AEW, and we heard it from so many different people throughout the show, and we're seeing it, the overwhelming outpouring online for this. And it's like, this one just hits home a lot more for me. We've seen a lot of wrestling stars perish in the past, too young, gone too quick, gone too young.
It's a tragic,
but this is just
it's a tragic trend of the industry.
It is very tragic trend in the industry, but this one for me just hits so much more home because I've been following his journey more closely. Nowadays in age with social media and podcasts and tweets and Instagram and anything like that, you can get to know, pull back the curtain, as you've said, on the wrestling, which makes it so much more fun to follow. And with Brodie Lee and Luke Harper, pulling back the curtain, seeing who he is. I mean, how smart he was, and being a hockey fan and being from Rochester and being a librarian, like all these things, like his journey from, nothing to this stardom to just, and nothing changed. It seemed like in his heart, nothing changed in his head. And it just, we heard it first from Jon Moxley, who is typically and consistently a person who really holds his emotions tight to him, and he's more professional.
Absolutely.
He's not active on social media, and he's not a person who really, I mean, you saw, his beanie was down over his eyes essentially, and he spoke from the heart, and you could tell this is not something that he does every week or at all.
No.
And it really was such a powerful promo from Mox. It was a 5-star promo in my opinion. What I really loved about the Moxley is that we're like, the common theme, the universal theme is that we're celebrating a great human, and that he's leaving a legacy to inspire others to be a good person every day. And that's what we talk about in Dynamite Download. The powers of positivity, uplift others as you climb, just bring positive vibes. And Brodie Lee seems to me, and just based on what we're seeing and what we've experienced, represented that to 100% and beyond.
Yeah, I think you mentioned when we get to follow these athletes on social media, we do get to see a little different side of them, and it does make us feel like we're connected on a different level. I think that, combined with the fact, SPD, that we're growing up, right? We have aspirations of being fathers of our own. We have fathers that we see are increasingly mortal, and it just, the older you get, the more in touch you get with the big picture of life and what's really important. And I think that,
for sure,
I think that all of us are on different stages of our journey, and we all realize those values at different walks of life. You could be 14 years old, and you could have what is really important to you and your values set, or you could be 45 and still not know. And I think, and this is an instance where Moxley talks about it. He's known the man for a long time, over a decade. And
right.
Even Jericho, I love Jericho's segment, where he talked about he'd worked with Brodie 27 times.
That's probably more than anyone on the roster. Yeah.
Right. And you have that kind of trust and that sort of relationship with someone. You get to see the good, the bad, the ugly. And for Jericho to share the story he did about Brodie Lee's mindfulness, his respect for other cultures, a desire to want to learn and grow and be better. That, combined with a lot of these stories that made us laugh and brought joy to us, even the in-ring segment with John Silver throwing the papers, that there's so many things across the board tonight that made us see, Brodie, John was further along in the journey than he was more mature. He was mature beyond his years. He knew at a very young age that he wanted to be a great dad. He wanted to be a great husband, and how he got there, he figured it out, but he never let that pull him away from what his true goals were and what he wanted his character to be. And I think, we get put into tough situations. You get to see the character rise out there. And I had a lot of respect for the man, to go through the road like he did, to go through those travels like he had done, and the temptations at every doorstep, and to be focused on his family. It's something that we all can admire and we all can recognize, man. Like, I don't know. This one hit me hard. I'm with you just in that regard. I feel like I feel like Brodie, he had his loss, as Eddie Kingston said, is going to teach us a lot of lessons that we're going to carry with us. And as long as those lessons are in our hearts, he's never going to die. I think that so many of us, just interacting with so many of you guys on social media, and then talking to you about this SPD, this really caused us to step back and gain a little perspective. We've always been pushing for building each other up, reminding yourself when you have those moments, when you see other people have success and things like that, not to get jealous or spiteful, but to be proud and excited for them, because it's all relative, man. You don't, like, just because someone else is succeeding doesn't mean that you are failing. So I think
that's exactly what
there was a lot
Darby
of
Allin said. Yeah, Darby Allin said it best. I mean, he was saying his promo really surprised me.
It's funny you had Darby's image up there, because that really was the theme. That was the theme of what Darby talked tonight.
Yeah,
so many guys, especially in the wrestling industry, so many guys, SPD, when you're fighting for a spot, you feel like there's only so much room for the top guy, and you could cut somebody out from underneath them, and Darby really highlighted that. I appreciate you putting that up there, brother.
Darby, it was great. I mean, he nailed it on the head. I mean, Brodie was not there to take someone's spot, but he was there to elevate and uplift others. And that's very rare in a dog eat dog essential environment that you're aware of. And that's almost in every environment, any business or any job, a lot of it is dog eat dog. And, to be supportive and uplifting, there was no ego with Brodie, he said again, and how he wanted to wrestle. And that was his dream match. And so it was a powerful segment. I mean, we heard from so many different stars. I mean, Moxley really set the bar with his promo. Darby's was going to ask you, Dax was great.
I don't want to put, there's no sort of elite or delete any of that type of stuff. That just doesn't feel right. But leaving tonight, what are a couple, before we get into the show and we focus in on the meat of it, what are a couple, if you can, SPD, if you can just, what are a couple of the tributes or the segments or the moments from tonight's special episode that really hit you hard and you're gonna carry with you going into the week ahead and into the new year?
I mean, if I have to just stick on the tributes, I mean, overall, the whole show is it's going to be it's a tough one to swallow, but it was a home run and then some. It blew my expectations times 50. I mean, it was from top to bottom and an A+ show in my opinion. For segments wise, I really liked Chris Jericho's. He always has some good stuff to say, and just me being a dog lover, I know when dogs, my wife always calls me the dog whisperer. All dogs love me. Essentially, they try to, or I just love all dogs. So yeah, I get the part where he was just like how he has a dog that doesn't like anybody, but it was so welcome to John. And dogs have their own way of communication, but they know, they have a sense. When you're walking down the street with your dog and it starts barking at someone or something, like they know when you're sad. They have this sense that we don't have, and that really stuck out. And then the Darby one we talked about was another great one, and then the FTR one, just reading his on social media, not necessarily the one on Dynamites, but just the one on social media was just really powerful, emotional, and from there I gotta.
No, man, no, you're good, dude. I mean, for me, I felt like everybody tonight did such a great job in honoring Brodie, but I'm gonna definitely leave tonight recognizing, for the Dark Order, that's gonna be one thing that I'm gonna push forward going into the new year. The Dark Order, the members of the Dark Order, I'm gonna really try my best this next year to try to encourage them and support them and push them, as a fan. These are a lot of young. I mean, you look at the Dark Order, that roster. I mean, Colt Cabana has obviously been around with the indie wrestling scene for a long, long time, but the majority of that crew is really young and has a lot of upside. I'm gonna particularly try to push for. We love Johnny Hungy on this team here, but Anna Jay, Anna Jay showed tonight. I was really proud of her performance tonight. I thought Preston Vance had a moment tonight that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. And
absolutely.
So, you know, losing someone like Brodie in that crew is gonna really be hard for them. But that's gonna be one group that I'm gonna be really pushing forward and going into next year.
These tears are real from John Silver. I mean, everything you saw was real. You know,
I mean, look at that. Yeah. So it was a really beautiful show. I think that they're, you know, like we talked about with Jericho, his being thoughtful. And even with the Jericho thing itself, you know, Jericho has been criticized a lot on social media. A lot of people have been quick to throw stones at him, and that, you know, even just another reminder for me tonight was, you know, let's not cast judgment. Let's not be so quick to jump down people's throats, man. You look at what Jericho was able to say tonight and the perspective that he offered. It just showed like a real thoughtfulness of him and his core values. And so I think that'll be something that I'm going to carry with me going into the New Year's. You know, don't be so quick to react. You know, be thoughtful. Try to observe more than you speak. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to carry with me based off of some of the things I learned from this wrestling show. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing what wrestling can teach us. I am absolutely the person I am today because of wrestling. I've been a fan since I was a little kid. So what I love about professional wrestling is that it feels like a family, and the show continues to evolve and the show goes on. I mean, it's a beautiful reflection of life. The tide keeps going, guys. We only have a short period of time on this earth, and the earth keeps spinning even after we're gone. So this was a great reminder. They did a great job of honoring Brodie Lee, but also so many of the characters tonight were in character, and they kept the show going. They entertained us. They put on a performance that actually planted seeds for feuds that I would love to see. I mean, I thought